5, and I'm back. Just got back from Rome. Just made it in time for the 8 o'clock show.
Welcome back.
Ted picked us up at the airport, and
I did.
We stayed within the speed limit. And we got here just in time. I prepared in the car with Dr. Maria and Ted telling me what to say.
I was responsibly driving.
He was responsible. He was.
The mayor's big on not texting and driving, I will say.
Yeah.
I've changed because of you.
But we can talk and drive.
We can talk and drive.
And Ted was driving, and Dr. Maria was in the back. Usually Dr. Maria drives.
Right. So I knew she was tired when she allowed me to drive.
From the flight. Although I think she was sitting in back of me, so I don't know for sure. I think she was sleeping during most of the flight.
How long is that?
I watched 2 Western movies. I won't plug them. Maybe
well, we watched Tombstone together last weekend.
Oh, that was good. Wow. Tombstone was much better than I remember. You know, I always remember Gunfight at OK Corral with Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. But this one, Tombstone, with Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer, who just passed away, as Doc Holliday, for which I think he was like really, I think he got a Golden Globe Award, if not I don't think he got an Academy Award, but a Golden Globe Award for that. He deserved it. But in any event, I'll tell you about my trip, because the trip was fascinating and very timely. Well, first of all, I was there to speak at a NCRI conference. That's the National Council for Resistance to Iran, the regime of terror. It's an overall conglomerate of a number of dissident organizations. The MEK, Mujahideen al-Khalq, being the largest one, but in the case of the NCRI, not the only one. And they have been meeting. They've been meeting. Oh, gosh, like this. Well, I've been going to their meetings for 14 years. Yeah. And I remember the first time I did, I went to protest in front of the UN to give a speech at the request of a Jewish group that was concerned about Ahmadinejad, the new prime minister of Israel, who was extraordinarily anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic, anti-American. Sometimes they elect what they call a reformer, and sometimes they elect an animal. But the reformers really are animals. So it doesn't make much difference, except you can imagine when they elect one that really is an animal and he runs that way, what he's like. Well, Ahmadinejad was that. Ahmadinejad was a murderer. He was like off the charts, crazy pick. And of course, Israel was very concerned about him starting a war with Israel. And so I went and spoke in front of the UN, and I met with the people from MEK who said they would like me to speak in front of their group. And I sat down with them, and I was told very, very controversial things about them. I was told what the stuff they use against them now, which is outrageous. Terrorist group, communist, cult. I think that's it. It's the reality. They are the most consistently, for 40 plus years, the most consistently anti-reign of terror group in the world. They have lost over 100,000 people as martyrs to the cause. Yesterday, in front of the Congressional Hall where they had it in Italy, were pictures of about 200 of their youngest victims over the years, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds. The MEK was never a communist group. They're called that now without any support at all. Even the support, which is not true, talks about some of the members being communist, not the organization being communist. Well, I don't know. There aren't too many organizations in Europe that haven't had some communists as members, but in any event, they're not in favor of socialism. They're not even close to the Democrats in America. They have a 10-point program for Iran, and it's been consistent for the last 30 years, which includes a free market economy, a country that has an elected president, a country that guarantees freedom of religion without an established religion in the country, a country that would be non-nuclear because it doesn't need to be nuclear. It has more energy than just about anyone, except maybe us, and a country that, most importantly, will respect human rights of the Iranian people that have been trashed. I don't know. It's hard to tell which group has slaughtered more of their own people, the Red Chinese or the two Ayatollahs who have run the reign of terror. The numbers for the two Ayatollahs, which of course are never going to be ascertained exactly because they kill people and the bodies disappear. I can, if you come to my house, I can show you a book of 30,000 that they killed just in the late 1980s that are in a red book that has become quite sacred now of those martyrs. It was about 4 or 5, 6 years into the Ayatollah's reign, and he became really concerned that the MEK was going to overthrow him. And he tried to wipe him out, and he killed about 30,000. Did not wipe them out, by the way. Altogether, I would say the number of MEK members that they've killed, who were all Iranian, are 100,000. Now, of course, they kill other dissidents as well, at least as many as they do, probably another 100,000 or so for reasons of opposition to the Ayatollah. Just the other day, within 3 days, they arrested, prosecuted, and killed 2 members of the MEK. They had a one-day secret trial. We're not even sure what they were charged with. I think the leaking had to do with fingering the nuclear scientists and therefore assisting Mossad, I think, but I'm not certain because there is no official charge. They're just dead. Very often the case. So this group, when I was asked to join them and speak to them, I did a great deal of due diligence. And what I found was that over 140 Republicans and Democrats supported them in the House and Senate, that they had been declared a terrorist group by Bill Clinton in the 1990s in an effort to suck up to the Ayatollah, who wanted them declared a terrorist group, even though there was no evidence of terrorism within the last 10 years for them. It took 12 years to get them delisted. I was one of the major players in doing that. But along with Louis Freeh, John McCain, Senator Torricelli, 40 or 50 Democrat members of the House, 40 or 50 Republican members of the House, several of our former secretaries of state, Republican and Democrat, all of which attested to the fact that this was not a terrorist group. And also any number of American generals who said that during the Iraq War, they were of material assistance to the United States. That when asked, they gave up their arms to the United States, so therefore they wouldn't complicate things. And then throughout the period of time of the war, were of great assistance every single one of them in Iraq, every single member of MEK in Iraq got a letter from the general in charge at the time, giving them protection, promising them protection once the war was over, a promise that was broken by the Obama administration and Secretary Clinton in the period of time that it took to get them out of Iraq and into Albania and Italy, both places which, along with Louis Freeh and the Honorable Michael Mukasey and Senator Torricelli, Newt Gingrich, we negotiated that. Clinton and Obama delayed it for about 2 years. That cost about 110 lives because the Quds Force would come in every so often and just shoot as many of them as they could finger with the help of the Iraqi government. Everything I'm telling you is absolutely documented, absolutely true. At the same time, they are treated horribly by the State Department because the State Department is pro-reign of terror. Has been for a long time. It's changing now under, of course, Marco Rubio, who, by the way, also supported this group when he was a member of the Senate, very strongly. So I spoke before them yesterday, and I'll put out the whole speech. I should put it out because everybody in Iran has heard it. Isn't that wonderful? So since I've been speaking, along with all these people I told you, Newt and Judge Mukasey and Louis Freeh and Governor Richardson when he was alive. Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many, it's hard to remember. General Jones. Since I've been doing it, most of the time that I go to their annual meeting, which is usually held in Paris, this year it was held in Rome, we are broadcast all over Iran. Now, there's been some interference with that in the last couple of years. Yesterday, we succeeded in broadcasting and being received and getting acknowledgments back from every single province in Iran. We don't know what the audience was because it's hard to get that because you're going, however they do it, they're going around all kinds of barriers in order to get it in. But millions of people. And you can't believe what the comments are. So plus it gave me a chance to talk to a large number of people that have been in Iran over the last year. Because one of the things that I want to be as certain of as I can, there is a lot of discussion about the fact that there is very strong opposition to the Ayatollah within Iran. Well, that's crucial because if that's true, they can do a regime change without any interference by us or anyone else, Israel. It would be far preferable for any number of reasons that happens. I know the president, of course, President Trump has run on and feels that America had gotten the reputation of, changing regimes all over the world and nation building and all that other thing. In the case of Iran, that would be a terrible mistake because one of the reasons, one of the things that happened to them and one of the reasons they threw the Shah out was he was imposed on them. He was imposed on them by the British government and the CIA, really to control oil. As simple as that. I mean, the CIA pretended it was to protect us against communism. Really, Iran wasn't going to protect us against communism or not. Really, the CIA was doing the bidding of the British government that used to control all of the oil in Iran. the Shah's father was their puppet, the British government's puppet back in the 1920s, and they put him in. And he let them control the oil. When you get into the late 1930s, the Shah's old man, the original Shah, right, the one we remember. I'm talking now about the first Shah, second Shah, and now we have the Clown Prince who wants to be Shah. So the first Shah went Nazi on us. All of a sudden, in the 1930s, he becomes a friend of Hitler's. He was letting the British get all the oil they wanted. And they were happy with that, but they were quite unhappy that he was supporting Hitler. And with mostly this was the British intelligence with the help of, we didn't have a CIA then. We had General Donovan's group that eventually became the CIA. We deposed the first Shah 1. We put in place Shah 2, who was completely our puppet and the British puppet. And he, of course, opposed Hitler, because that's how he got in. He threw his old man out. And he remained in office. But in 1951, the Iranians had an election, and they elected as their prime minister or president, not sure, but the non-monarch head of state, Mossadegh. Mossadegh was a reformer, and Mossadegh took the outrageous position of wanting the Iranian people to own their own oil. And it got so bad that the Shah fled because he was scared. The second Shah was a shadow of the first Shah, meaning the first Shah was a crooked, pro-Nazi, tough old bastard. The second Shah was a better educated, quite indecisive, which is why he got thrown out, had to get put back in again, wasn't sure he wanted to come back. When the actual overthrow took place, he couldn't figure out whether to stay, go, use the military, not use the military, use the Savak, not use the Savak. Criticized for being an enormously indecisive creature of both British and American intelligence. Well, he was a creature of American intelligence. He got thrown out in 1950, 1951. He fled, actually, because he got scared. And then the British convinced him to come back. And the CIA took a big role in getting him back in, using the idea that Mossadegh might be more favorable to the Soviet Union. And the Shah promised that he wouldn't be. And he wasn't. I mean, he was a brutal, corrupt, horrible dictator, but he was our dictator. He was on our side. And during the Cold War, we had a few of those. And who's to go back? I mean, who's going to criticize that when you're dealing with a country that wants to destroy you, destroy the world, destroy religion, destroy values, destroy morality, and also had nuclear weapons? We would take any ally we could get that would stay on our side. And the Shah, in that sense, was a strong ally. But it left a bad taste in the mouth of the Iranian people. And for some reason, the Americans were blamed more for forcing the Shah down their throat. And in reality, we were doing Britain's bidding, because it was Britain that wanted control, or at least at that point, they didn't have control, but 50% of the oil company. But the US went out front using the communist issue as the reason for doing it. And at that point, I think British intelligence had lost a lot of its suasion within Iran, and the new CIA group was able to put him in. So he then remained there until the late 70s, when he was overthrown. And of course, the religious, insane regime took over. And in retrospect, one could say, and he's benefited to some extent from this, but not a great deal within Iran, outside of Iran. Well, gee, he was a lot better than the Ayatollah. That's true. I mean, he killed maybe, I'm going to use a number, 10,000 people. The Ayatollahs killed hundreds of thousands. But he was one of the most brutal dictators of his era. He filled up the prisons with his political opponents. He tortured them. He developed a secret police called the Savak that was considered as brutal and fascist as the Stasi in East Germany, the Soviet secret police. It was extraordinarily effective and extraordinarily corrupt and extraordinarily brutal and homicidal. And it scared the hell out of the people of Iran. On the other hand, he talked about the separation of religion and government. Although he himself was a Muslim, he had a fairly good relationship, if not good relationship, with Israel. He was not anti-Semitic. He was not anti-Jewish. He was not anti-Christian. He attempted, without too much success, to liberate women, but at least he attempted to do that. So what you have with the Shah is you got a mixed bag. But you did have ultimately an indecisive leader. And the people of Iran really didn't respect him. Those who opposed him and even those who supported him didn't think they had much of a leader there. So when he got thrown out, Iran for a very short time became a republic. And then the Ayatollah came back, had been planning this for a year, and had built up within every province throughout the very large country of Iran groups run by mullahs. Now, mullahs are they're like religious organizers. So they will run the mosque, or they'll run the congregation. They don't call it congregation, but whatever it is they call it. But under the Shah, what they really became were mafia captains. They ran crews, and they became that really while the Ayatollah was in exile and planning to come back. And when he was allowed to come back, it was on the express promise that he would not take part in politics. He would go off to Qom, which is their religious city, and he would, of course, make proclamations on religion, but he would stay out of politics. And the moment he came back, as he got off the plane, riots began all over Iran. And very short order, he took over, a constitution was put in effect, and everything about it is irrelevant except the clause that says that the supreme leader supersedes everything and everyone and every decision. So all the rest of it is just window dressing. And both supreme leaders, the first Ayatollah, and their names are rather similar, Khomeini, and now Khamenei. There've only been two, and it's hard to say which one was more brutal than the other. They both have killed, on both of them probably can chalk up about 100,000 each. And a lot of them of their own people. They also have done a pretty good job of killing Americans. You remember, of course, they took Americans hostage under Carter, returned them as soon as Trump came into office. But they did, under Reagan, attack the American Marines in Lebanon and kill Americans. Under this Ayatollah, Soleimani did all of his work. And Soleimani killed hundreds, if not thousands, of American soldiers in Iraq. They've also attempted to murder Americans. You're looking at one. They attempted to murder twice. And in both in 2018. The first one was February or March of 2018 in Albania, and the second one was in July of 2018 in Paris. The second one was going to be a mass murder of the group that was meeting in Paris The people were arrested 2 days before. Had they succeeded, they would have killed any number of retired world leaders, I would describe it. The names you'd remember would be the names I mentioned before. Newt Gingrich, myself, Judge Mukasey, Louis Freeh, one or two of the former prime ministers of England, one of the former prime ministers of Italy, France. It was quite a group of people. Over the course of the 3 days that they have this retreat, there were 100,000 people there. So I don't know how many people they would have killed. They were caught at the Belgian border, and they were prosecuted and sent to prison. The group in Albania was also prosecuted in Albania, and they had a smaller but more focused goal, and that was to kill me and Madame Rajavi, who runs the MEK, at a celebration for their new retreat in Ashraf in Albania. They have, of course, they've had uncovered several plans to kill President Trump. They were caught with a plan to kill the Saudi Arabian ambassador to the United States in Washington. They've killed political figures in the UK, in Norway. They're an absolutely brutal regime. And as I pointed out in my speech yesterday, we talk about all of these strange conspiracies, right? All of which are quite valid. I mean, is Obama guilty of running the whole effort to destroy Trump, including the impeachments? And I know people say he has presidential immunity. People are forgetting that most of what he did happened after he was president. I don't see how you have immunity for what happened after you were president. So maybe somebody should take a better look at that if they want to. I mean, Obama has skirted on so many things, but here's the one on which he should be prosecuted, and I cannot believe he has immunity for this. He gave hundreds of millions of dollars in cash to the Ayatollah. He did it secretly. He sent it over on jets. It was clearly intended for terrorists. Iran at the time and now was the biggest sponsor of terrorism in the world. And Obama fed them cash. They could only have wanted cash because they were doing what we know they do, giving it to terrorists. The people they were giving it to, including their own Soleimani, were killing Americans. So how the hell is this guy not get prosecuted? A president has immunity to kill Americans? To give a terrorist group that focuses on killing Americans money? I don't think so. At least it should be tested. But not Prince Obama. I'm Prince Obama. Don't you like the way he walks? I'm Prince Obama. Well, we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news, even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly, where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Are you ready for some action? Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax, channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly, where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with you on America's Mayor Live, and just off the airplane from Italy. It was a really lovely flight back, I have to say. I fly a lot, so I'm a pretty good judge of the great ones and the terrible ones and the in-between ones. This was a really great flight. It was from Fiumicino Airport directly to Boston. And it's just, Rome was extremely crowded because we're right in the middle of the Roman Catholic Jubilee, which is declared I don't remember the exact schedule of it, every number of years by the Pope, this year being a Jubilee year. And this particular period of about 3 or 4 weeks is devoted to young people, Jubilee. Young meaning teenage to 30 or so. And it was overwhelmed with young people from all over the world. Amazing to see how many people. Impossible to get into any of the churches. I didn't have much time for sightseeing or whatever, but as I was leaving, I stopped off at Santa Maria Maggiore and St. John Lateran, and those are the two. John Lateran, the Church of John Lateran is the real seat of the Bishop of Rome, and used to be the papacy for 800 years. And it's one of the most beautiful churches in Rome, and one of the most significant. The Pope often says Mass there. I was able to take some beautiful pictures of the outside of it, but I couldn't get near it. There were thousands of young people trying to get in for part of this service of going to all of these churches and praying. And then I went to Santa Maria Maggiore, which is also one of the 7 basilica churches in Rome, and the one where the prior pope elected to be buried, and one of the most beautiful churches, and one of the most ancient churches in Christendom. Same thing, filled with young people. Very, very delightful to see them all, because not only were they in front of the churches, but they were all over the city. So if you went to get ice cream, there were 1,000 young people lined up to get ice cream. Nicely dressed, very well behaved, and clean as a whistle. Nothing like the Hamas protesters. There was a little group of Hamas protesters in front of the parliament. And boy, they did look a little cleaner than ones in America. Maybe the Italians clean up more, I don't know. But they were pretty scummy looking in comparison to the Christian kids who just made you feel good that many of them believe in in Christianity, and are affected very, very much by it. And there is a fairly large movement in Italy and France, for sure, back to the church. It's really been, has it been really since the death of the Pope, or did it start shortly before that? I don't know. I just know because I read a lot of European newspapers, that many of them, which of course are not religious at all, they're completely secular and anti-religious, note that. Now, there's an interesting phenomenon in the UK. In the UK, it is now believed that there are more Roman Catholics than Anglicans, because of the large number of conversions to Roman Catholicism from the Anglican religion. I can't support that myself personally. I haven't seen that. I haven't been to London in a while, but I can understand why that would be happening. But if you looked at the number of young people that were in Rome, how about the number that were Asian and Chinese in particular? So I'll show you a picture here of the group that I spoke to. This is the MEK or NCRI, really. It was in the it was in one of the parliamentary buildings, and it was a group of about 1,000 that were there. But the real thing about it that was remarkable, that was shown all over. What you're looking at there was shown all over Iran. Everybody in Iran has heard the entire speech. See, same suit. Somebody accused me of dressing up like the Pope. One of the left-wing former British politicians, I think it was. On the left, with the green shawl on, is Madame Rajavi, who is the president of the NCRI. On the right next to me was the former finance minister of Great Britain, a former prime minister of Italy, And the speech really was about what we talked about earlier, which is this is the time. This is the time to overthrow the Ayatollah. He's on the ropes. They've never been weaker. The regime of terror has never been weaker than it is now. From everything I could tell, and of course, the people listening to this, it's either true or it isn't. They're going to be the ones that know. The reality is there's never been more support within Iran to overthrow him. And I think that the United States and that was very interesting. The guy walked. Did you see that? You see the guy walking him back at me? Yeah. That was really funny. Well, I didn't know. I was a little involved in the speech. And I you got to understand, this is like a labor of love. I love these people. Some of the people I also were talking to are the people at Ashraf 3 in Albania, where they're not being treated. They're not being treated as nicely as they used to be treated since Biden came into office. And we got to go. Somebody's got to remind Albania we got a new president. But in any event, they were lined up to my right and left on television screens. And for some reason, I don't know why. See, there they are. Those are the men and the women. What you just saw there was a shot of the group listening to it in Albania. What we weren't able to do, nor would it be wise to do it, is to show you any pictures within Iran, because those people would be dead. Also, I did other snooping around, not only with them, but with other, they have a lot of intelligence agents that come to this from different parts of the world. That's what you're looking at now was in Albania. That's the group in Albania. I've noticed they're all wearing white too. I don't know why that was, and I'm wearing white. I guess it was for purity. So the group in Albania is a group of about 3,000 members of MEK who were isolated in Iraq. During that time, while they were isolated in Iraq, with the United States government, particularly Hillary Clinton, diddling with taking them off the terrorist list, about 200 of them were killed by Soleimani, the guy who killed Americans. The Iraqi government, which was then even more favorable to Iran, would let them come in and, kind of shoot them like they were in a shooting gallery. And also take some and torture them to see if they would turn on the MEK. Their success was almost, they had no success. The MEK is strong or stronger than it ever was before. And once they got their perch in Albania, there is no question that they have a great deal to do with the protests that go on all throughout. And their contacts within Iran are tremendously effective. They're the group who discovered the original enhancement of uranium at Natanz in 2002, 2003. And then also, eventually, the very, very deep underground enhancement at Fordo, which we bombed recently. Those were all discovered by MEK. They also played a very, very large role in helping intelligence agencies that are attempting to overthrow, well, I shouldn't say that are attempting to interfere with the Islamic regime that is supporting terrorism all over the world. You might remember the pictures you saw of apartment buildings in Iran, in Tehran particularly, where just one window of the apartment building, or maybe two, were blown out. The rest of the building is entirely intact. That was a specific killing of a nuclear scientist or extremely high-level member of the regime of terror's ruling elite. If they did their job correctly, they've left almost just the Ayatollah. And he's an old man, and other people were running the government. The Israelis have come pretty close to eliminating his entire support infrastructure, as well as the nuclear scientists. Now, a lot of that happened with the use of drones, not rockets fired from way over in Israel. Those drones were being activated, usually 2 or 3 blocks away from the place they hit. So you say to yourself, I mean, these were hundreds, 800 miles apart within Iran. And that's a hell of an infiltration of Iran, isn't it? Iran wasn't able to do that within Israel, was it? No. You can credit an awful lot of that to the MEK, the ability to operate within Iran. They also have, for the last 10, 15 years, assembled a shadow government to run the government on an interim basis to lead it to elections. And not only that, they've committed it to, I wouldn't call it a constitution, it's a document with 10 principles that Madam Rajavi has laid out both for MEK and also for the NCRI. These are the things that the Constitution will enact and be presented to the Iranian people. Elections, a republic form of government with a president, not a monarch, no return of the Shah and all of his cheating and stealing and corruption and brutality. Freedom of religion. So it will not be a Muslim country or a Christian country or a Jewish country it'll be a country like America, like a good deal of the West, a country in which you can practice the religion of your choice. It will give complete equal rights to women, which would be a tremendous sea change for a country that kills young girls who showed too much of their hair, right? Or kills women who are raped. I mean, they're insane. The government's insane. I mean, it could literally be considered insane. And this is why President Trump has often said they cannot be nuclear. I mean, can you imagine nuclear weapons in the hands of people who still stone women? I mean, Ted, that would be, I don't even know how you could consider that. Nor can you figure out, I know I repeat this a lot, largely because it drives me crazy. How is it that Obama hasn't been held accountable for giving them hundreds of millions of dollars in cash when everybody, friend and foe, says they're the biggest supporter of terrorism in the world? If you're giving money to the biggest supporter of terrorism in the world, and they're asking you to do it in cash, you have to know that you're giving money for terrorist purposes, which included killing Americans.
That's right, Mayor. And you have to wonder, right? I mean, part of it is, of course, they have a compliant media, right? They're not questioned the way Republicans are. And I know your question was kind of a rhetorical one, but it really does beg the question. How was he able to get away with that?
It's outrageous, completely outrageous that even now, I mean, nobody will repeat it. It almost seems like when we go after them, we go after them not for the wrong things, sometimes for the weakest things. Like go after, meaning investigate. Like in the case of Biden, Comer compiled evidence of all different kinds, and he left out some of the most powerful evidence. He left out the admission in writing by Hunter Biden that he gave his father millions and millions of dollars over the course of 30 years. An admission that would be extremely valuable in court, would be considered more reliable than a confession. And many judges charge a jury in that way about an admission. And you can say, oh, it's not true. But the jury gets to decide that, and you get to decide it. The statement by Hunter Biden that over 30 years I gave half my salary to my father is certainly dramatic, relevant, admissible, and as obviously you can test its truth, but supported by thousands of pieces of circumstantial evidence, or the statement by Hunter Biden that I'm a danger to my nieces and nephews for abusive sexual conduct that's outlined in the email, or the statement by Hunter Biden to a psychiatrist in 2018 that his father is demented. And we're wondering about how do we prove he's demented? Well, Hunter, and then you got thousands of tapes that support it. So why is that not out there?
And it just goes to show.
Are we just incompetent? I mean, as investigators, Republicans?
Well, right. I mean, say what you will about the Democrats, but under Joe Biden, they took action. You know, they told us they were going to try to lock up Trump, and that's exactly what they tried to do, right? They had Peter Navarro in shackles.
Yeah, they had Peter Navarro, who was a 75, 78-year-old man at the time, right?
Right.
He's not going to run anywhere. I don't even know. I mean, I don't ever, I may have, because I didn't execute the arrests. I knew about them, and sometimes you would give advice on them. But by and large, the arrests are done by the FBI or DEA or whatever. I can never remember anybody being arrested with leg irons on. I don't even think we use leg irons anymore.
Right. And they did that to Peter Navarro. They locked up Steve Bannon. They tried to get you, Mayor, but you know, you're too good for them.
I mean,
you're too
they
couldn't get you.
They let me surrender in Georgia and in Arizona. By the way, those two cases are still out there. But I'm still indicted. And so is the president in Georgia. I mean, by a prosecutor who, I mean, she'd have to get prosecuted first, right? Turns out that she's a criminal.
And I think, you know, after seeing what they did in the 4 years of Biden, I think that adds to the pressure, right, Mayor, for the current administration to take action. On one hand, you don't want to stoop to their level where you're weaponizing the justice system, but we're not asking them to weaponize the justice system. We're asking them to pursue justice under the law.
Right. Well, here's what I come away with after several days of, I mean, the value of this is, of course, we don't Iran is not a transparent government. You know, it's not as closed, I'd say, as North Korea. Maybe comparable to China, although China is probably harder to close because it's so big. But same thing is true with Iran. Iran is pretty big, and Iran is pretty diverse. In other words, there's something like 50 different ethnic groups that make up Iran, the Persians being the main ones, but not the only ones. So Iran is not transparent, but not closed like a sealed tomb. So to get information, and its press, of course, is completely under the control of the government. So you're not going to get anything from the press other than things you have to interpret. I mean, if you know how to read it, it'll give you a lot of hints about what's going on, but it's not going to come right out and tell you. So having these people that have great sources inside of Iran and having a chance to talk to them is invaluable, so that you know you're making decisions or developing opinions based on facts. You're not way off somewhere crazy, like, can there be regime change? And I really pushed very hard on that, really pushed on what's the sentiment inside of Iran. Of course, you know, the MEK and the people and the dissidents and the people whose families have been tortured by them and treated horribly, of course, they want to believe it, right? Not that they're going to give you false information, but they're going to see it in a certain light, and you got to be careful that, you know, you're not overwhelmed by that emotion. And I think I did a pretty good job of talking to a lot of more objective people. You can't be objective really about Iran because the regime of terror is too brutal. If you're objective about it, you're some kind of a psycho. If you're objective about this group that kills hundreds of thousands of their own people and others, then you're a psycho. There are psychos. But you want to get behind it and make sure, as best you can, that the statement that they're ready to overthrow him is correct, because a lot of decisions can turn on that. And there was almost uniform agreement on that, both by people that support the MEK and even some of the people that don't necessarily support the MEK. But they agree that all you have to do is scratch the surface in Iran and go talk to people, and they'll tell you that. They are not particularly reluctant any longer to tell you how terrible the Shah is. Same thing with that. This idea of Reza Pahlavi, the Shah son, coming back, which is very, very appealing to all of the elite in Western Europe and America, is insane. It's ridiculous. The people in Iran despise him. He's never been there. In all these years, he's never been there. The MEK has been there with them through all of the protests, through all of the problems, through all of the getting the people out of Ashraf and saved from being slaughtered by Soleimani. This guy was nowhere to be found. He's a spoiled, rich brat who's done nothing in his life. There's no achievement of any kind. He hasn't built a business. He hasn't run anything. He lives, and this is highly offensive, he lives the life of a billionaire based on money stolen from the Iranian people who are starving. He lives the Western, the European jet set billionaire lifestyle. Doesn't work. Doesn't have a business. And his old man stole billions from, and his mother stole billions from the Iranian people. It's their money that they stole. And he's living off it. You'd think the Iranians don't know that? Meanwhile, we got the jackasses in the United States and the expert, this might be, they might want to have the Shah back. Yes, sure. Yes, of course. Savak? What's Savak? They're in prison? What's that? What's that? Oh, the Shah killed people? Oh, how many? Oh, thousands? Oh. The Shah stole money? How much? Billions, billions, billions. This kid is the privileged product of that stolen money. And he's never been there for important things. He also takes some very strange and dangerous positions. He claims he's in contact with the IRGC, which is it's really the special army that was formed by the Ayatollah, separate from the army of Iran, that would be loyal to the Ayatollah. Within that is the Quds Force, which was run by Soleimani, which does a lot of the foreign military intervention work. And they were the people who specialized in killing Americans in Iraq. And they're part of the IRGC. The IRGC is a designated terrorist organization. Really important to note this. And people refer to Reza Pahlavi. He refers to himself as the Crown Prince. Some of the people around him refer to him as King. And of course, those of us who really know how deteriorated the gene pool has been in the Pahlavi family, going from a crooked, brutal, Nazi-loving Shah, who was very smart, to the next Shah, who couldn't make up his mind what day it was, to this guy, who hasn't done a damn thing in his life other than live off stolen money. The gene pool is really deteriorating tremendously in this wealthy family. The last guy to actually do something was the grandfather. The others are the product of whatever he acquired or whatever the CIA told him to do or whatever the British intelligence told him to do, and were too frightened to ever get involved. For example, when there were protests in Iran in 2014, when there were protests in 2018, he was nowhere to be found. The MEK was right in the middle of it, running most of it. When Iran was helping the Mossad figure out where the scientists were and where the nuclear material was, this guy was nowhere to be found. Now he says he's in contact with the IRGC. And a lot of them can turn to support him. He even sent a questionnaire to them seeking their support. Well, somebody should investigate that. Isn't the IRGC a terrorist organization? Are you supposed to be seeking support from a terrorist organization, Ted? Gosh, it seems to me like if that's true, and it's alleged in the articles, those that are very critical of him and those that seem to be puff pieces, that he's in contact, and he loves to say he's in contact with the IRGC. Well, they're a terrorist group, not only under American law, but under, I think, almost all the Western European countries. Maybe the UK is the only one that doesn't designate them as a terrorist, but we do. And I don't know if he's an American citizen or not. He's lived in America all his life. I don't know if he's an American citizen, but in any event, he is subject to our laws because he's illegal. I think he's a legal resident of the United States. Good
Let's
maybe
double
he's an
check that
illegal-
with
he's an
Tom. We might have to
illegal
play,
alien. Think he's an illegal alien?
place a call to Mr. Homan.
But I mean, the reality is, to give you an idea how stupid he is, he's telling you he's in contact with a terrorist group. So that raises another problem among the Iranians. He's got great support from all the phonies.
Crazy,
You know, all the editorial boards and all of the Shah,
Which doesn't make any sense, right?
He's the crown prince. You have no idea in Europe how many crown princes there are, kings, princes, princelings.
Ladies. How do you get that? How do you get that term, lady?
What?
Lady. Some people are called lady. Can you just start asking people to call you that? What's the sir version of that? Oh, it is sir. Or no,
I don't know what the
like lady.
yeah, maybe. Maybe if you're married to a sir, you're a lady. So I'm just an honorary sir. So I don't know if you're married, you're an honorary lady, I guess, if you're married to me.
How are people supposed to address knights?
In my case, they should bow down and
Interesting. But you're right. So many crowd.
you're supposed to call him sir. I can't use the title because in America, it's illegal to use the title. Now, I don't know if it's enforced by any criminal law, but yeah, theoretically, you could lose your citizenship for using a title. So I never let anybody call me sir when they do it. And I even joke about it. They shut up.
Oh, to be
There are no sirs in Brooklyn.
Yes,
no,
sir.
You can't take on a title as an American. It's in the Constitution of the United States. See, we're against monarchy. Unlike the idiots that want to bring the Shah back.
The American-backed Shah.
Iran can go from a monarchy, dictatorship, brutal and crooked, to a theocratic, brutal, crooked dictatorship, back to a monarchy that'll be crooked and brutal.
The guy's son, the guy they kicked out. They think they're going to bring back his son of all people.
Well, son, who wants to govern with the help of the new secret police.
Oh yeah, he's going to bring back the Savak.
He has one of the Savak people show up at it.
I don't get it.
Pictures of this guy that was a big Savak guy. He's hanging around with the.
Let's not give him any ideas.
Prince.
You would think that. I mean, my goodness, you almost want to. We don't want to give him any ideas.
All of these jackasses supporting him, and it's like you don't read history.
Right.
Nobody's read a history of the Shah.
Right.
I remember.
Did you ever meet him?
When I was laid up with my accent that I had with my knee when I had to get emergency surgery on the knee, I read a very long biography of the Shah, and it was pretty balanced. But I mean, what came through was, first of all, how indecisive he was, how crooked he was. I mean, he just took everything from Iran. And then how brutal when he had to be. Kind of a weakling who didn't want to know about it. You know, yeah, go ahead, torture them, but don't tell me. That kind of a guy. The son has always been considered like even more deteriorated than the old man. And it seems that way when you listen to him, because he says jerky things like, I'm in contact with the IRGC. They're going to come over to me, and he wants to get put into office by the terrorist group that has been slaughtering his people. And he thinks that this is actually, I mean, if anything, it's one of the things that have the people of Iran completely turned off by him. When they were yelling a couple of years ago, neither the Shah nor the leader. We want a new government, not the Shah, not the leader. The leader is, I mean, they've been against this guy for 4 or 5 years. But once again, it looks like America and Britain are going to try to impose him on them. I mean, it's like, want to repeat history? So I really hope we're smart enough not to do that. It'll
be interesting, Mayor. And how how closer are we, do you think, to seeing regime change in Iran now, as opposed to maybe, well, let's do a year ago, and then let's talk about 2 months ago and the intervening factors with the bombing?
Well, I think we're the closest we've ever been, because we've taken, we literally have taken the clothes off the king, right? They were surrounded. Let's just go back a year ago, maybe even a little more than a year ago today. Iran looked pretty powerful. They had, to a certain extent, created some of their empire. What they seek to be, which is why they have to be destroyed. What they seek to be is like a monarchy, an empire based on the Islamic religion. A caliphate is what they would call it, for the whole world. That's it. That's their dream. That's the goal of their constitution. It's written down. It ignores enormous practical difficulties with that, including the fact that they are the minority Muslim sect. The Shia are about 10 or 15% of the Muslims. The Sunnis are 85 to 90% of the Muslims. How they're going to get the Sunnis to operate under them, except the Sunnis who are terrorists, who they're able to make common cause with for a while until they start killing each other, which is what happened with Assad and the guy who's now in charge, who may or may not still be a terrorist. The whole situation on him is really out, given all of the Druze, Alawites, and Christians that he apparently has killed. So, but here's how far they had gotten, right? So they consolidated their power in Iran through murder, brutal, unbelievable murder and imprisonment. They, at one point, pretty much controlled Iraq after the war. We've kind of split that now in half, and they control maybe half of Iraq. They controlled Syria when Assad was there. They had tremendous control in Lebanon through Hezbollah, which was considered the most dangerous terrorist group in the world. Much more dangerous than Hamas. And they controlled Hamas, and they controlled the Houthis. So in the northern part of the Middle East, they had an Islamic empire. Them, Iraq, Syria, and then the terrorist groups that control Lebanon, terrorist group that control Yemen, pretty much on their way, right? Then, when Biden came in and made them like an ally of the United States by giving them billions of dollars, Saudi Arabia saw the handwriting on the wall. Saudi Arabia and the Emirates started cozying up to them also, figuring maybe they can't contest with them. Rather than making peace with Israel and putting together a formidable alliance that could oppose them. Formidable alliance that could oppose them would be Saudi Arabia, the richest country in the region, Israel, the dominant, without any question, military power in the region. It looks like they could defeat everybody while they're sleeping. And Jordan, which is a fairly effective air force for sure. Egypt, which has an army. The Emirates, which has a great deal of money. You put all that together, that's a formidable opposition to Iran. And Iran, and I think October 7 was part of trying to break that apart by attacking Israel in an absolutely brutal way that you had to condemn But if you condemned it, you would be turning against the Palestinian people, created a barrier to any further Abraham Accords, particularly with Saudi Arabia. And now, with the media victory, I mean, Israel has had stunning military success. Israel has, I said yesterday to the MEK people that Iran would not be where it is now, on the verge of finally being able to get rid of the Ayatollah, if it wasn't for Bibi Netanyahu. He made it possible to see through what appeared to be an enormously powerful alliance by destroying all of their proxies while he's fighting in Gaza. Completely destroyed Hezbollah. They don't even show up anymore for meetings. Right? Massive destruction of Hamas, which continues. Tremendous damage to the Houthis, which if we didn't go make peace with them again, we probably could have gotten rid of. But they're a fairly minor player, also because they're geographically separated quite a bit. And they're pretty damn easy to hit. They're a small country. They only have one or two places where they can launch things. They do it in a mobile way, which allows them to last a little longer. But a good concerted effort would just eliminate the whole place. And so Bibi has taken that all apart. And then deposing Assad was their most solid ally in the region. It also shook up Russia and China. Russia doesn't have the kind of money anymore to help them, and China doesn't like backing losers. And they really do look like losers. I mean, we sent like 20% of our Air Force over Iran, and they didn't even shoot at us. That's pathetic. They didn't even shoot at us. That wasn't on purpose. That's because Israel took out their capacity. Israel was bombing the hell out of them, and they didn't lose a plane. So Bibi, if Iran is liberated, it might be hard for the Persians or for the Arabs to do this. We should put a statue of Bibi in Tehran. That would be quite a thing, huh?
I mean, look, Bibi's had to do so much of this on his own, it seems like.
Well, he did it. He had to do it on his own because the Biden people were dead set against him. And even now, although he and Trump have a very good relationship, and he and Rubio have a very good relationship, there's still the State Department backbiting. How about describing his attack on Syria as a madman? He wasn't being a madman. They've been slaughtering Alawites, they've been slaughtering Druze, and they've been slaughtering Christians. The Greek Orthodox primate has said that. It's not some strange political figure. That the Orthodox Christians in that area, at least 1,000 of them have been killed by the new government in Syria, the guy that we want to do business with. Now, it breaks up this idea of we're going to have Abraham Accord, but you got to be flexible. You got to, but to have them attack him when all he was doing is try to protect the Kurds, not the Kurds, I'm sorry, the Druze. And the reality is Israel owes it to the Druze. The Druze have been enormously supportive of Israel going back to the 1940s. And they have been some of the biggest heroes in the IDF. And they are spread out in several of these countries, a little like the MEK. And Mossad is great at doing that. Mossad is great at using the Iranians who are part of MEK to help them, the Druze who are in Iran, who are in Syria, who are in Turkey. which is why Israel can hang out inside Iran, and Iran can't hang out inside Israel. You realize what a great value that is to us if we want to unseat this guy? I mean, we should have done this 40 years ago. I mean, I have no patience for keeping him in power. I do not understand why we want to keep a person in power who wants to kill us and has killed us and wants to destroy our strongest ally. How could that be good for us? And he's impossible to negotiate with. He justifies any lie with this religious insanity. So he'll just say, yeah, we're not going to enrich uranium, and then enrich it like crazy. Right. Well, here I am off the plane, all ginned up because I spent 3 days with discussions about Iran and a little bit about Italy, which we can talk about tomorrow. The Italian government's doing really well under Giorgia Meloni. If she hasn't become, she's very soon going to become the longest continuous president of Italy other than Berlusconi. And pretty soon she's going to pass Berlusconi. Now, that isn't saying much because Italy used to have like a government every 3 months. I remember when I would travel to Italy, first time I went to Italy, it was back in the 70s, the government had fallen. And I thought, I better not go if the government fell. And then somebody said, well, they fall every 3 weeks. You'll never go if you don't go now. And the government fell, but you wouldn't even know it, right? But she has really done a great job. And she's extraordinarily popular. When you talk to people, you know, I used a translating app. First time I really used it, it worked beautifully because I know a little Italian, so I don't know how it would work if I did it with Russian or half the Italian words I understand. It's the grammar and the other part that I have trouble putting together. I do think if I were there for a month, it would, and also I can translate Latin. They had a document. What was the document? They had a document in Latin that I was able to translate. I translated it. Oh, I think I got it from, yeah. I had lunch with the general who runs the Italian military, who is extraordinarily enthusiastic about the increase in NATO and how NATO is going to become I mean, you think about it, the EU is the second biggest economy in the world, not China. You put NATO together the right way, it becomes the second biggest military in the world, not China. And if we get our act together, that's quite an opposition to China, and it takes a lot of pressure off us. And Italy, Italy's 100% with us, as long as they don't go back to some stupid communist government. And she's extraordinarily useful. She's a heavy right-winger, but she knows how to talk to them. And those left-wingers, they're as crazy as ours.
They are or they're not?
They are I think they're as crazy. I used to think they were crazier. Now we're going to have to do a thing like we did with Columbia and Harvard. Remember last year we tried to figure out who hated Jews more, Columbia or Harvard? Right. And we picked Columbia, and we were wrong. Harvard hates Jews more. Now I don't know if the left wingers here or in Europe are worse. Used to be the left wingers in Europe were definitely worse, but I don't know if they have a Mandami. Right. I don't know if they have like a straight out. I mean, the Labour government in England seems like it's pretty close to that, but Sturmer, the prime minister, pulls him back a little. In a couple of the countries, they'd be right-wing if the right-wing parties could get together and stop fighting with each other. Like in Germany, the right-wing parties are twice the left-wing, but they're at war with each other. Right. And that's true in a couple of places. It used to be true in Italy, but all those parties have come together, which is why the Salvini-Meloni relationship is so important.
Right.
And Berlusconi, when he was alive.
Yeah.
Well, notice we didn't talk about the Epstein case. I've got a lot of views on that too. And it is true, I was questioned about that by the press, not by any of the political people. The press is interested. They don't care about Iranians being killed, or they just want to know about Epstein. And honestly, in Europe, they don't really even know the facts. It's like
right.
They weren't paying attention to it until the American press made it an issue against Trump.
Yeah. Well, the American press didn't really cover it much, right, until they saw a chance to attack Trump.
To catch up.
Yeah.
I mean, the American press had earlier covered it a lot.
Yes.
European press just a little bit. I'm not even sure they know who Epstein is at this point. They're starting at the beginning to realize who he is.
Well, it's a chance to hit Trump, so.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, here's one to use against Trump.
Right. So now all of a sudden they care.
Right.
It is quite
Although
something.
I have to say, you can feel it. Even the left wing there respects him. It's very weird. It's very, very weird. The people in Europe, I remember this was true even the last time. It's more true now. They really would like to have a leader like him. Now, Italy has a leader like him, but I think UK would, France would. Look, I mean, Macron's going to recognize the Palestinian Authority. Palestinian Authority is dedicated to killing the French. well, when they were Christian. Now, and also the UK, where the most popular name is Muhammad, maybe they're going to switch over.
Yeah,
and the Anglican religion is disappearing. England is going to be Roman Catholic and Muslim.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. It's great to be back. We'll be back on Monday in full swing. Anything happens, we'll be available over the weekend. And we'll have plenty to show. We'll put all this film together, and we'll show you a part of the conference, and we'll also show you. We'll show you a little of Rome. It's always beautiful to see Rome. I took some beautiful pictures. Dr. Maria took some beautiful pictures, and
I want to see you.
Ted will know how to make them look even.
We
nicer.
got to see what kind of photography skills.
We got some great, the Circus Maximus and the Colosseum and the two great, beautiful churches. Oh, there's so much to see. The original walls of Rome, which people ignore a lot. The original walls that were used to defend against
like
enemies for 1,000 years.
A wall, so the idea being keep people out that you didn't want in.
Yeah, right.
Protect the ones that are in.
Have a wall.
Huh. What a novel concept, Mayor.
Yeah, well, it kept Hannibal out.
The oldest.
Pray for the people of Israel. Pray for the people of, please, let's get this thing over with in Iran, huh? Please, let's get those guys out of there. And the same thing with let's push back a lot harder on Putin. Time to really. These people are getting killed for no reason now. They're good people. The people of Ukraine are good people. Pray for us, people of America, and pray for our president so that he continues to have the wisdom and the strength to guide us through a world that was handed to him in much worse shape than he handed it to Biden. And he's made great progress so far. It's got to continue. So have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday for sure, but possibly before. God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil. tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,